Good evening and welcome to the Us Review. Today is season 2, episode 6, entitled How Do I Rekindle the Flame? I am your host, Carla Davis Luster, and here is where I discuss controversial relationship topics, highlighting the male and the female perspective when necessary. I'd like to recap the previous week's information, which was season 2, episode 5, Love and Addiction, Deal or Depart. I talked about some types of addictions, the effects that addictions can actually have on a relationship, and I also talked about some of the forms of treatment that you could get if you found yourself in that situation. If you, once again, would like to go back and review last week's episode, you can find all of my previous week's topics housed on YouTube at Ask Carla. Once again, if you are just tuning in, this is the Us Review. I'm your host, Carla Davis Luster, and this is season 2, episode 6, entitled How Do I Rekindle the Flame? For legal purposes, and to add this disclaimer, I do want to make clear that any of the topics that I talk about is merely an opinion. Please note that the information discussed on the Us Review is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional, financial, or legal advice. If you require such advice, I do recommend consulting a licensed advisor in the area of concern. So, tonight we're talking about how do I rekindle the flame? Being in a relationship can be rewarding and challenging all in one or over time. Time allows couples to get to know each other and most things about each other when you spend a lot of time together. You get to know their likes, their dislikes, their pet peeves, what makes each one of you happy. You find out what things pisses you off or them off. And most of all, and most of the time, you know when they are not feeling something or someone, including yourself. As time goes by, things change in the relationship. And over time, a relationship can lose its steam, especially if the couple does not do anything to keep it exciting. That's very important. Let's discuss some reasons that can cause this to happen, or maybe it has already happened and you're trying to get it back. But when I went to look up this particular topic and to look up, what causes a relationship to lose its steam, what causes a relationship to, not have the flame going, or, how do you keep the flame going, all of that stuff. These were the main, I want to say it's about 7 or 8 of them were the main reasons. Now, there are many, many more, and there are a lot of them that they named, but these were highlighted the most. So I decided to just, talk about these. So some of the things that can cause this, I'll just rattle this off first. Being too caught up in your work, a project, whatever that is that's taking your time away or your attention away from the relationship, and the relationship that at one point you guys, you had it all together, you were spending time together, there was, you were both each the apple of each other's eye or whatever else, and you weren't, projects, you had them, I'm sure that you've always worked, but you found over time you got used to each other, you got comfortable, and now something else is taking your attention away. Being too caught up was one of them that was named. Children can definitely take the center stage to a relationship. I mean, you started off, it was just the two of you, then you have children, and there it goes. The children require a lot of time. Newborns, you're doing everything from them and for them. And then as they grow up, it doesn't slow down. It changes, but it doesn't slow down because then you have your activities. You're running to school. You got this, you got that. Parent-teacher conference. It says you're working. You're trying to cook. You're trying to keep food on the table, and it's a lot. So once again, one of them that was named is when children come along, they can take center stage to a relationship, causing the flame to be gone. Chasing financial goals. Sometimes people are chasing that bag, and they have this special person, but getting money is more important. However, I always thought money without happiness or money without pleasure, what is it? And maybe pleasure, money is pleasure for some people. However, chasing financial goals was one that was listed. A lack of communication, obviously. No quality time was listed. Thoughtfulness is missing. The one is not, you don't think about your partner anymore. You just, all about you, all what you want to do, all of, it's all about me. The thoughtfulness is missing, and that was one that was listed. So that is something that definitely can come into play and come into a relationship, causing you guys to separate due to one will start to feel, if one is not being thoughtful, the other one is going to feel some kind of special way. Is that's like, hey, you're not taking me in consideration. You're taking me for granted. And that starts to be, one was listed, unmet expectations. When we first got together, all of the expectations were met. Everybody's on their best behavior, like I say. But over time, you're so caught up, once again, caught up doing your thing, chasing a bag, being selfish. Children are in the play. Expectations for the relationship, and expectations for the intimacy and the closeness of you two being together, those expectations sometimes stop being met. They're not being met because all of this stuff is into play. A lack of novelty. The relationship appears to not be as special or important to you or to the other person. This can cause this friction in the relationship. That was just a few to name them off. Once again, you can look them up. You can always research it, and it'll give you just a long list of things. But these were the most highlighted from the research that I did. There are many more, once again, that I could call off. However, these were the top 7 or 8. However, today I'm going to talk about how to rekindle that flame. But before I go into it, I'm going to introduce my preface from my novels, I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe, Chapter 6, entitled The Phone Call, one of my favorite chapters of this novel, I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe, Chapter 6, The Phone Call. I'm going to start at page 47 in paragraph 1. However, I want to take this opportunity to show you my novels like I always do every week. I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe. This is where I'm going to be taking the preface from. And The Woman Tells. This is the first week, the first season book that the first in the series. And I used this during season 1. So if you want to catch up, you can grab this one as well. The Woman Tells. And then once again, just recently I released, we're talking about relationships, and that's what I do on the Us Review. This is a relationship color palette assessment guide. You scan that code, take the test, and you're on your way. It's very fun, very a conversation starter, and like I said, good at date night, game night with couples, retreats, whatever. You can use this. And all 3 can be purchased at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, AskCarlaDL.com, and at the Volumes Bookstore at 900 North Michigan Avenue on the 5th floor. So let's get to the preface. Once again, I'm Not a Homewrecker, Opportunist Maybe. Chapter 47, paragraph 1, and it reads something like this. I was happy to leave New York after what had transpired in the last week I was there. I was content that I at least learned more things about my girl and her family dynamic. I also got to spend an amazing night partying before I left. We once again dressed up in these tight-fitting red dresses and heels, went to dinner, and went to a real young adult club to dance. A few of our college friends went as well. It was about 10 of us. My girl had put it together as a going-away party. She said that it was not goodbye. She would just have to catch me back home. 2 days later, after my goodbye dinner, she was shot in the head and left in a hotel room. I was mentally fucked up. Everything happened as you would imagine. I'm not a homework opportunist, maybe. Not everything is peachy. However, it's a good story. So today we're talking about rekindling the flame. And once again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Us Review, Season 2, Episode 6. How can I rekindle the flame? Keep in mind, when distance begins to grow between a couple, space can cause the love to dissipate. A lack of or absence of love and affection from your situation can disappear through a small but thoughtful routine, slowly exiting your relationship. You start to find, when you think about it, you start to find that, the date nights that you guys used to do are no longer important. an important part of your relationship. Your partner, it seems like, in the beginning they used to shower you with gifts, and they're no longer showering you with gifts and compliments that they used to do early on. You start to feel that they don't listen to you anymore, and they definitely don't want to share anything with you. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They don't want to be a part of any of the things that you guys used to enjoy together. It's become obvious to you in your mind that most of the spark appears to be gone. If that is your case, for instance, let me say this. Do you remember that look that you could give them, and it was like, turn on to both of you guys, and that look actually triggered, you guys moving into that intimate moment. However, you discover with this flame being gone that you can give that look and it's not doing anything for you. I mean, well, it may be doing something for you, but it's definitely not doing anything for your partner, because you guys are separated and you're not in that great space and you're not in that romantic space. You begin to ask yourself, how can I rekindle the flame? So today, let's talk about some things that you can possibly do to try to get that flame back. Is it written in stone that it's going to happen? No, not at all, because some things can be too far gone, and some things are meant to be, and some things are not meant to be. And maybe that your time with that situation has run its course. However, if there is still some spark there, hopefully some of these things that I'm going to talk about can help you with that. Once again, change the way you dress. Maybe in the beginning you were dressing sexy and you put a little bit more oomph into what you were doing. You combed your hair a certain way, your makeup was on to perfection, and you took pride in how your person saw you. Now time has gone by, you guys are comfortable with each other, you know each other, you feel like you've done everything, been everywhere together, and you don't think that that's important. But sometimes the littlest things that you don't think is important may very well be important to your person. So you need to take that in consideration. Here's another thing. Surprise them with something, a vacation or some tickets to maybe some, island or something where you guys can get away. Because maybe you have the situation where the kids have come in and taken center stage, like I talked about, and you don't get time to be with each other. So everything else is, pulling and taking your time, with the exception of you having that time with the relationship, and therefore your spark have left because you have no time. So maybe surprise them with a vacation. And maybe you can't get away. Not everything, once again, you have to spend money. I always talk about that. Maybe you get a babysitter or something and just have a weekend and just really set it out, cook together or whatever, cook for them or whatever, and just set the stage, have, rose petals, wine, candles, make bubble, whatever. But you surprise them with something that has not been happening, or something that maybe you guys have done before, but bring it back to memory that, hey, this is where we used to be and this is where I want to be now with you. So that's one, surprise them with something. Try to be adventurous in the bedroom, and that would go along with surprising them with something. Do something out of the ordinary, not something to, put them in shock factor or something that they're like, hey, I'm not with that, but your person, you should know their likes and their dislikes. Do something adventurous. Try to, do a twist on something that you know that they would like. Just, put some adventure into it. Put some spark. Put some, something different into it. You want to value the things that they do. Sometimes people grow apart because they don't feel like their loved one actually values them or actually respects or supports them in the things that they like to do or the things that they do. So, and that can cause you to, draw apart. And if someone is like feeling a certain way about you or upset with you, they're not going to want to be romantic, and the flame is not going to be there, because that's going to be the last thing from their mind is, a flame, being lit, and they're upset with you. So do some of the things that they do. Flirt. There's another one, flirting. I mean, merely you're somewhere and you look across the room and you see them and you wink, or you give them that look. I did talk about, you could give them that look and it's not there anymore or whatever. Maybe you need to do something to bring it back, or grab their hand or just send them a text. Maybe you had a situation where, one of your intimate moments, I'll just talk for the women, you had on red, you can send them, remember the red, and you don't have to type the whole thing out, like remember red, just a little glimpse to just kind of just nudge them, that, hey, I'm here, I'm thinking about you, whatever. So flirt, whatever your flirt is, do your flirt. pursue a hobby that interests them, that maybe interests you both, something that you can do together and that both of you like, and something that will get you being close, that you got to do something to entertain that closeness. Encourage them. Here's one: encourage them to go out with their friends, male or female. And I'm talking both sides of the coin. I'm not saying him or her, because this can happen. It can be a male or female in either seat. Okay, so I'm talking something along the lines that hopefully that will help both of you. Encourage them to go out with friends. Sometimes distance will make the heart grow fonder. You go out with your friends, and you're bound to have conversations, and definitely if you go out to eat, you get to drink and people get to talking, and you just listen to some of the things and the situations that other people are going through. It may cause you to definitely appreciate what you have, because you'd be like, wow, I thought that this was, my situation was bad, or my situation was this, and you look around and you listen to other people. Your stuff may not be that bad, and you probably should appreciate it and go home and just try to, create that wonderful moment, due to the fact that, maybe it's me. I'm not, I'm neglecting, and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, because looking out here and listening to all of this, I've got a good person. So think about that. Try to resolve issues by communicating. Don't walk around and not say anything or whatever, and just let stuff fester. Once again, in some of the other seasons, I talked about a pea becoming a watermelon. You don't want things to fester, because, the longer they fester, the more there's a buildup. It becomes a larger problem. And sometimes, once again, I said that we're talking about rekindling the flame. However, some things may have run its course. You don't want stuff to fester, whatever, till it runs its course. Okay, so just try to resolve issues by communicating. Reach out whenever there's a problem, and try to come up with a solution and a way to talk about it, to resolve it, just kind of peacefully and just mildly, softly, whatever. Avoid bringing just unnecessary conflict into the relationship. Try to be understanding to what they may very well be going through. For instance, they could be going through something at work, or just having a hard time, and you're in a kind of okay space, but they're not. Just show some understanding, and just some loyalty and some caring by, maybe you guys share chores or something like that, and when they come home, just say, hey, I got everything. I'm gonna cook for you tonight. I'm gonna run a bubble bath for you. You just go relax, get a glass of wine. I'm gonna have dinner ready for you, then you can go relax. I got this. I'll do the dishes tonight. Whatever that may look like, just try to show some understanding. And sometimes, to me, that's sexy in itself. That's bringing that closeness back. That's bringing that intimacy. Not everything is sex, got to be sex or whatever. However, you're bringing that intimacy and that closeness back. Learn how to accommodate differences, because you're two different people. You raised probably different ways or whatever else, and not everything is going to be what you know to do or how you know it to be. Accommodate differences. They may have been raised, and I'll just say spaghetti. I heard the funniest thing is that I was in a couples group, and this couple talked about, their mother used to make spaghetti one way, and then when they got married, the wife made it another way, and it was like, it was different. However, I want to say that the person said that they went ahead and ate it that way to accommodate their spouse, because they didn't want to upset them due to the fact. But the difference was that their parent did it different. Now, the difference in that with the spaghetti, you can make spaghetti, you can mix all the sauce and everything together, and everything is mixed. Or you can make spaghetti and you sit the sauce on top, kind of like I think it's the Italian way or something like that. So I'm using food for an analogy. However, it's the accommodating differences. Is okay to do that and to respect, or maybe you might find that you like the difference, in what they're bringing to the table. So learn to do that and not just always be closed-minded. I didn't do it this way or whatever else. That can be a turnoff. Accept the mistakes that you make and apologize. If you know that you're wrong about something, and you will not take accountability if Jesus came down here and helped you, is that if you know that you're wrong and you've made a mistake and you know it, don't try to flip the script and all that kind of stuff. accept that you've made the mistake, apologize, and move on, because there's nothing more than a big turnoff. And I gotta say that is someone trying to flip the script and make you think that you're crazy, and you're the one that made the mistake, but you want to flip it and make it seem like I did something. That is, oh my goodness. And I know I've talked to a lot of women and they hate that. That starts to build contempt. It's like and you're consistently doing that, and you're constantly not, taking responsibility for things in a relationship. That can be something that can really just start to be a turnoff. So if you make a mistake, apologize. And once again, I talked about gifting them, I think earlier, but gift them with their favorite things, out of the blue. Don't just wait for a birthday or a holiday or whatever it is to gift them. If you know that you guys are going through something, you're trying to get that closeness and that intimacy back, and you're trying to light that flame or whatever else, you're just doing things to try to get the relationship back on track and on course. Gift them maybe with something that they like. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend $1 million. Maybe it's a Starbucks card. They drink Starbucks or something, like, I don't know, but just do it and say, I was thinking about you. I was out, I looked at this and you came to mind, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this for my baby, and you say it soft and you deliver it. The littlest thing, it could be some now and laters or something, I don't know, some potato chips, but the way you deliver it and the thoughtfulness, hopefully that will register with your spouse. Once again, you need to learn how to balance your personal and professional life. I talked about earlier, one of the things, getting caught up, that's with work, whatever, and neglecting the home life is a problem. If you have to learn that balance. It's important, a career is important, whatever else, but keep in mind your personal life is also important. Make sure you try to find some type of a balance, because that can destroy a relationship. And I see, and watching a lot of TV, as I always bring movies into my my sessions, my episodes when I'm talking, is that you see a lot on TV, and I gotta think a lot of stuff that happened on TV somewhere it's happened in real life. Is that you see a lot of police officers seeming like they get divorced because I don't know if it's because they work so many hours or just the nature of the whole thing, but you got to find a balance in order to maintain a relationship with a career. Set boundaries for a healthy relationship. Maybe when I say set boundaries, create date nights, and don't, try not to let anything take you away from what you set up. Healthy boundaries, maybe, to get some kind of ideas. Maybe you guys, go out with couples every so now and then, just to, test the waters to see how people are doing, and being around, positive people and positive couples that got it going on can possibly help you. Once again, I said date night, whatever it looks like. Maybe it's a movie night, a night you come home and you guys cook together, whatever that is. You have to set some boundaries, set some standards, and put your relationship in the place that it is important. You have to make sure that you're putting it, in a place where it's definitely important. You want to express your love through words and in actions, not just say it all the time, but you want to express it, and show it through your actions. I talked about, just a minute ago with the understanding. I'll bring that back up. That analogy is that, that you do something to show that you love them, you're concerned about them, that, without saying the words, you're showing them. Avoid being demanding. No one likes a demanding person. Make sure you're valuing your partner's opinion. That's very important. You don't want them to feel pushed aside. That, you want them to know that you value what they bring to the table as well. Compliment them in front of others. That is so sexy when I see couples, they're like just really lifting up their significant other. They're like, oh, she's beautiful, he's amazing. They're just saying like wonderful things about each other in front of people. They're acknowledging them, just showing their love. I think that is just sexy in itself, and it helps them, it helps you to feel good. That's a feel good, you want to make them feel good. I've talked about a lot of things and threw a lot of things out there. I could keep going on and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, if none of it is working, and you just feel like your relationship is on its last leg, one thing I'm going to throw out there is counseling. You may need to be seeing a counselor, and if that doesn't work, I don't know. If love, let me say this, if love ever existed in a relationship, as long as nothing has traumatized the relationship, the love should still be there. It may just be a little bit buried and you got to pull it out. However, it should still be there. If you are willing to put in the effort to get back the flavor, then the things that I discussed should make a difference. It should make a difference. However, if it doesn't, it may help you to know that it's really gone, and that maybe so both of you can get on with your lives, that it's gone too far, or this relationship has run its course. These things, either they'll help you to rekindle it, or maybe it'll help you to see that it's not going to be rekindled, and you may not need to waste any more time there. I'm just saying, but hopefully that's not the case. Your gestures, your affection, your words, and all of this stuff, the way you show your love should make them fall back in love with you again and rekindle the flame. If not, then once again, like I said, you may have some decisions to make. So, folks, that's the show today. This is the Us Review, Season 2, Episode 6, How Do I Rekindle the Flame? I am your host, Carla Davis Luster. You can follow me across the platforms at Ask Carla. You can purchase my novels at Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, AskCarlaDL.com, and at the Volumes Bookstore at 900 North Michigan Avenue on the 5th floor. I will be back next week, Tuesday, for Season 2, Episode 7. With that being said, see you next week. Hopefully you'll have an amazing week and get out there and rekindle those flames if you're having that issue. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.